In this video, we're going to be talking about percent, and we're going to be looking at a couple things in particular. First of all, the percent formula. We need to be able to identify the three parts of the percent formula: the percent, the part, and the whole. So we'll look at that in detail. And then we want to know how to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. So for percent questions, we're going to be asked questions like these. And in each case, our goal will be to identify the three parts of the percent formula: the percent, which is going to go above 100 in this fraction on the left, the part, which is going to go in the numerator of the fraction on the right, and the whole, which is going to go in the denominator of the fraction on the right. Notice that we have three missing pieces of information: 1, 2, and 3 missing pieces. In percent questions, we're going to be given 2 of those pieces, and we need to solve for the third one that we don't know. So let's look at this question. What percent of 54 is 36? Well, right off the bat, it says what percent, meaning we don't know what the percent is. So right away, we can say that the percent, which goes above the 100, is unknown, so we'll call that x. What percent of 54 is 36? Or another way to rephrase this, 36 is what percent of 54? Well, since we're saying of 54, 54 is going to be the whole, and 36 is going to be the part. What about this one? What is 20% of 80? Well, as soon as you see this percent sign here, you know that 20%, 20 is your percent number, so that's going to go in right there. We know that for sure. So is 80 the part or the whole? Well, what is 20% of 80? Again, because we have this of 80, we know that that's going to be the whole. So we put 80 there in the denominator, and we put an x here in the numerator because the piece of information we're missing is the part. We know that 80 is the whole. Or this one here, 40 is 10% of how much? Well, again, we have the dead giveaway that 10 is our percent number. 40 is 10% of how much? Well, again, that of is a giveaway that we're talking about the whole. So of how much? Well, we don't know how much, so we don't know the amount of the whole. So we'll put x there for the amount of the whole. 40 for the part. Once we have those pieces identified, then we can solve these by cross multiplication. So we always want to multiply diagonally. So we're going to multiply x by 54, like this, to get 54x. And we're going to multiply 100 by 36 to get 36 times 100. And then we just need to solve this equation. So we get 54x is equal to 3600 when we multiply. And then to solve for the variable x, we have to divide both sides by 54. When we do that, we get x is equal to 3600 over 54. And when we do that, we get x is approximately equal to 66.67. So if we round that, we can say that's approximately 67%. Again, here we'll cross multiply 20 by 80 to get 20 times 80, and then we'll cross multiply 100 by x to get 100x, and then we can solve. So 20 times 80 is 1600, equal to 100x. Then we divide both sides by 100 to get x is equal to 1600 over 100, or x is equal to 16. So what is 20% of 80? It's 16. 16 divided by 80 is 20%. 16 is 20% of 80. Here we'll do the same thing as always. Cross multiply x by 10 to get 10x. Cross multiply 100 by 40 to get 100 times 40. And then we solve. So 10x is equal to 4,000. Dividing both sides by 10, x is 4,000 divided by 10, or x is 400. So we could say 40 is 10% of 400. The last thing we want to do is talk about how to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. So when we convert a fraction to a decimal, we do long division. So we have the fraction 1 over 4. we would need to do the long division 1 divided by 4. And if we do that, we'll get the decimal number 0.25. Once we have a decimal number, converting to a percent is easy. All we do is multiply this decimal by 100. So 0.25 times 100 is 25. And then we just add a percent sign to it. So 0.25 is equal to 25%. What about converting decimals to fractions and percents? Well, to convert a decimal to a fraction, we look at the place that the decimal number ends in. So the 4 here is in the tenths place. Remember, after the decimal point, we have the tenths place, then the hundredths place, then the thousandths place. Well, the 4 here is in the tenths place, so the number ends in the tenths place. So we take this number, 4, and we put it over 10 because of the decimal place that the number ends in. And then if at all possible, we reduce the fraction to lowest terms. So 4 over 10 can be reduced to 2 over 5. To convert from a decimal to a percent, we already did that. We multiply this by 100. So 0.4 times 100 is 40. And then we add a percent sign. How do we convert from a percent to a decimal? Well, this should make sense. Instead of multiplying by 100 and then adding a percent sign, here we take the percent sign away and then divide by 100. 80 divided by 100 is 0.8. So the decimal equivalent is 0.8. And then again, to convert the decimal to a fraction, 0.8 ends in the tenths place, so we get 8 over 10, or in lowest terms, 4 over 5. And that's how you convert between fractions, decimals, and percents.